Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in with Chainsaw Man Chapter 12, my thoughts, my impressions, and also a little bit of a arc, not really an arc review because we're not going that in depth, but an overall arc impressions for the Blood Devil and the Bat Monster, along with the very interesting addition of, well, I don't even know what to call that one. But you remember the lady one. Anyway, yeah, I want to talk about the chapter and talk about that. So let's just get into it. I'm sure there's a few of you that really like this series. Okay, so, alright, man, listen up. Whoa. Maybe it's because I've read too much shonen manga. But last week's setup, I thought this isn't going to work out. He's not going to get what he wants. This is just going to be a constant annoyance for him. And then we go into the chapter, and color me surprised when the author doesn't even go for it once, but goes for it 3 times. And also the addition of the pad, nice trick there. Look, man, it was bold. It was so bold. I did not see that coming. I thought, wow, that's different. Mind you, the harem protagonists, they'll probably get to do that. But this is different. You have an action series where, the characters are being relatively straightforward about it. Like, heck, when you have that first scene with Denji and him going and cupping a feel, and then just his reaction at thinking that's it. And then the subsequent pages of him just totally lost. I think that was a pretty nice way of showing that. I love that it wasn't overblown. I love that the overblownness came in the lack of his reaction afterwards. It was refreshing, and it reminds you of just that kind of general teenage awkwardness when it comes to interacting with the other sex, or like any sex that you're interested in. It was cool. It was cool to see exploratory behavior in a relatively safe environment, and the guy having to figure out that, hey, that wasn't good enough. Chests are not all that matter in the world. So, honestly, coming in from, just the background of always seeing anime and manga and overblown reactions, it was so interesting and so bold to see the author actually go forward with it and actually have the character realize a fundamental truth, that is that, there's only so much you can get by going after whatever you want. Imagine if Mineta from My Hero Academia got to have, well, actually, I don't know. He is an incarnation of lust, so I don't know. But Denji too, in a way. But at least, yeah, between the two, I think Denji's a better implementation. He's realized more about the world. So, color me also surprised when we continue through the chapter and the author pumps up the ante. I didn't think we would go from him getting what he wanted, realizing that his dream's finished, and then getting in front of his superior and having a much more exhilarating encounter. That was again, bold. Super bold. I respect it, author. I respect it. I really hope that the little Japanese kids really like that and they want to see more of that, because that's different. But before we get to the actual second part with the superior, I did think it was interesting that he made the note about dreams in general. Like, did he care more about the chase than the dream or the goal itself? And that talks about that bigger idea of it's the journey that matters, not the goal. Or the journey matters as much as the goal. It depends on what story you're reading to see how the author is going to kind of implement that idea. But you guys get the gist. It's good that he realized that, or it's always good when a character realizes some aspect about themselves. And in this case, I understand where Denji's coming from. Like, sometimes the journey up to whatever goal you're trying to go for is a little bit more fun because that's where all the mistakes are being made. That's where you're actually learning new information. And then when you get to the goal, it's just like, well, okay, now I've done it. What's next? It's very interesting to see that kind of maturity from what was otherwise a very immature character. And when I say immature, I really mean more naive in some ways. Like, he is more aware of some of the dirtier aspects of the world, but when it comes to those personal relationships, you can definitely say, well, this kid is a little bit naive, and when it comes to what his aspirations are, those are a little bit immature, but that's because he's barely lived much of a life outside of devil hunting, so that's okay. Anyway, I do find it interesting that by the end of the chapter, Denji pretty much has been given another goal, and behind that goal, is the promise of a wish for whatever he wants. So ideally, by the time he finishes the Gun Devil quest, he will have realized the other things that he can enjoy with other people. So hopefully by then, he will know what to wish for. And hopefully it will work out. Now, if the author wants to go for like a total maturity thing and not just like a very gritty, dark story, then he could have Denji want some kind of emotional companionship, right? If he wants to keep the story non-idealistic and gritty and dark and just very tongue-in-cheek, he'll go for the more physical approach to that situation. And guys, I have to be careful with my words because otherwise YouTube's gonna catch me. But you guys get what I'm saying. Anyway, like I said, I think it's funny that he has another goal. I don't think the problem of reaching a goal and just not caring, just feeling empty afterward, I don't think he's kind of solved that problem. But when it comes to the wonders of a relationship, that's a constantly evolving thing, such that maybe in terms of the feeling empty after achieving a goal, maybe he wouldn't feel that. Ideally, we need to get Denji into a position where he likes life and he lives for the sake of living and enjoying the life that he has. Are we gonna get to see him get to that point? It's kind of hard to say. Right now on Shonen Jump, it doesn't really look like the editor thinks that this is a series that kids are excited about, according to the table of contents, and that's really the only metric we have. We don't know how it's succeeding in other cases. I'll have to look around for data. Okay, now talking about the rest of the arc, I think this chapter is pretty much ending the Blood Devil arc. So, in terms of the rest of the arc, I think it's fine. There are still things that I'm kind of looking for that I haven't seen yet. Specifically, I want some kind of power structure behind Denji's powers and what he can do. I want some things to get named. I want to have a nice little system. I want to understand the hierarchy of powers. I want to understand the nature of Denji's being. So, I'm still looking for that. And this past arc with the Blood Devil didn't really give me any of that. So I'm a little bit sad there. In terms of entertainment value and, story value, it was a valuable arc. I think right now the biggest waste for me are the fight scenes. I don't care about the fights. The art's very messy. I don't need to see the blood and gore everywhere. The choreography, I'm not all that interested. So any chapter that focuses in on that, I'm not gonna feel it. Once this author feels a bit more comfortable and maybe has some better choreography, my opinion will change. But right now, I didn't really feel all that won over by the fights that we saw in this arc. That said, the enemies themselves were interesting, and that's where the story value comes in. I think the Blood Devil story is a worthwhile story. It's playing on that idea that people sometimes care about animals more than they do other beings. That's cool. The Blood Devil herself, or himself, I'm not really... okay. Anyway, the Blood Devil, oh man, I feel like I shouldn't be saying the D word. The bloody thing themselves was cool. I like the character. I like that the author took advantage of the fact that this thing doesn't understand human sensibilities, and that's how Denji got his way in. I love that. I love the interactions between her and her cat. That was cool. In terms of the pair of enemies for this chapter, that being the bat and the whatever else monster, that was fine. Again, they're just enemies of the week. It was interesting to see them, but it's just like, they're just petty evil. Not petty evil. They're just flat evil characters. There's nothing in there besides the shock value of their appearances and just the shock value of the gore. So I'm really not feeling that in that regard. Now, there were other highlights throughout this arc too, and this was a case of, I think the best way to sum it up was like last week's chapter when they were showing the people that Denji had helped. There were two people that really appreciated him, and then there was a truck driver that just got screwed up because Denji didn't care. I really like that. I like that balance of, oh yeah, he's doing some good stuff, and then, oh yeah, he's still kind of messing up there. I like that. It's very true to the character. And overall, with that kind of tone of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, just when it came to that kind of characterization for Denji, I really do appreciate it. He's not a perfect character. He's not an idealistic character. He, in some ways, is a bit more relatable when it comes to the darker aspects of humanity, or like even the more immature aspects of humanity. So I do want to see this kind of character represented as a main character. I think it's okay to have one relatively, just uncomfortable kid to deal with, as opposed to just another Izuku, for instance. So overall, for this arc of Chainsaw Man, I think it's good. I think this cap off with chapter 12 with his superior getting involved there. And I keep calling her superior because I just forget her name right now. Of her talking about just knowing her partner better. I love just the build up. I love the paneling for it. I think the author does really well when it comes to the character interactions as opposed to the fights. And that's just my personal opinion. I haven't been won over by the fights. And because there's no power structure, I can't really care too much about how things scale here and there. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought down below. And of course, I have to apologize for just having one image on the screen for this. The reason is Shueisha is right now copy striking the channel, and I want to stay under the radar. At least with these videos, with only one image, I can defend them better. So once this is sorted, we'll be back to normal. But anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.